and welcome to another out of this world episode of the Will It Send Me to Hell podcast. You're making a face that says
I hate it.
You do not like what I just said.
I mean, it's fine. You can keep going. I just hate
It's
it.
a space. They go to space.
Yeah, I understand.
My name is Dalton. Joining me, as always, is
Michael.
And this is the show where we look at media, movies, video games, whatever, and we talk about the morality of it.
Yeah, mostly we're focused on the moral questions of pieces of media.
Yeah, this is the thesis of the show being that what you consume changes you.
Yeah, it will affect the way you think, the way you act. If you consume bad things, you will become a bad person over time. If you consume good things, you'll become a good person over time. Just like the way someone in a good society has a better chance of being a good person. Same thing.
Or even simpler. You're eating bad food, you're going to have a bad body.
Right, you are what you eat.
Yeah, you are what you consume.
When you eat a bad movie, you become a bad movie.
Exactly. This is a long-awaited episode. You were sick, and then you were out of town.
Yep.
And just looking at like Twitter and Discord and like even like Twitch chat, people are pretty stoked.
People are excited about this. I think one, because a lot of people have seen this movie and they really like this movie. Mm-hmm. And I have for a long time said this is probably my favorite movie of all time. So,
what movie is it?
Gattaca.
We didn't even say what movie it is.
It's Gattaca.
It's Gattaca, ladies and gentlemen. Probably one of the best movies ever made.
It's so good.
It is really, really good.
Really spoiling how we feel about the movie pretty early. Although I do have some other elements.
I have a lot of concerns with the movie.
Okay,
but it is still one of the best movies ever made. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I guess a lot of people, I don't know who I'm talking to in this, but a lot of people wait to listen to the podcast before they watch the movie because they said, well, I want to know if it sends me to hell before I watch it. I don't know if they're joking. Because if they are, like, that's stupid.
The funny thing is, I don't think you're right. I think there's like one guy who constantly says that. Most people that we've talked to have the exact opposite experience where like, oh, I didn't watch the Pig episode because I haven't seen Pig yet. Which makes sense. Even though the name of the show, Will It Send Me to Hell, kind of implies that like, well, I'm not gonna risk going to hell, so I'm not gonna watch the movie until I know what you think about it. Which is a fine way of consuming it, especially if you don't care about spoilers. And I'm of that mindset. I don't really care about spoilers. But you can also consume it the other way, and it also, even if you watch a movie that we say like could send you to hell, listening to us talk about it afterwards, or even just yourself examining the morality of it, makes it a lot less likely that it'll actually do so, just because you're aware. Yeah. You know, you can resist it if you're aware of what's going on.
The reason I brought that up is if you're listening to this and you haven't watched Gattaca, go watch Gattaca.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah,
Gattaca is a really good movie.
Yeah. Which does not answer our question of will it send you to hell.
It does not.
Because you said you had some concerns. I have at least like one concern that I'm going to go over. But like, it is an amazing movie.
Yeah, I guess we can jump into it.
Yeah. Do you want to start with the basic will it send me to hell, as in like, does it have nudity? Can I show this to my kids?
Yeah.
Does it, you know what I mean?
Well, okay. Start off with Gattaca, if you're unaware. I'll just super small summary.
Sure.
So it's basically about these like genetic engineers and scientists. They've gotten really good, and they start like using their science to make dinosaurs, and they put them on an island, and they get loose.
This is Jurassic Park. Wrong movie.
I watched the wrong movie. No, it's basically like genetic engineering gone? Has science gone too far? Now, most people are genetically engineered by their parents.
Near future setting, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the one guy who's not genetically engineered, but what is my wife doing? She's opening and slamming every door. And he infiltrates and goes to space, even though he's not supposed to.
Yeah, so most people in the world are genetically engineered to be better than they would be normally. This guy was not, because his parents were religious and thought that was bad, but he wants to do great stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, that's the basic. We'll obviously get more into it as we talk about it. Yeah, so at a basic level, is this movie, Will It Send Me to Hell, does it have nudity? Is it inappropriate? Does it blaspheme? Does it...
I think you're actually clear. There's no nudity. Well, you see a guy's ass if you're really looking in one scene.
He's like naked at the beach, but like it's a dude. You don't see anything.
Yeah,
he's just in good shape.
It's in the water from above. You can't really see. It's
no. When he's on the beach and he's scraping his legs and stuff.
Oh, the other naked beach scene. Yeah. I forgot. You really knew. You knew all three. Wow. Yeah. They really stuck in your mind, didn't they?
I've seen this movie like 11 times, Dalton. Every scene is in my mind.
Okay. All right. Especially those, it sounds like.
Yeah. Okay, Dalton. I see what you're insinuating here.
I'm calling you gay. But like that's it's tasteful. Like it's not. It's
no. Yeah, and you don't see anything. Like you don't really see anything. There's also the characters do have premarital sex.
Yes. It doesn't fit in with the rest of what I was going to say. So I'll say that now.
Okay.
The premarital sex thing, that's kind of an obvious thing. Mm-hmm. We like to talk about the bigger themes on the show, but yeah, that's definitely part of it. And I think it's interesting. In this movie, it's interesting where Vincent and Uma Thurman, whatever her name is, So you've seen this movie like 8 times. You remember all the naked man scenes, but you don't remember one of the major characters' names.
She's a woman.
Proving my point. Thank you.
I don't care what she has to say.
So that romance and what leads up to it is actually like kind of wholesome. It's very nice. Yeah. She's pretty much attracted to Vincent for his noble qualities. Mm-hmm. And I think really what the premarital sex does in that context is it solidifies now they're an item, which that's kind of the language of movies.
No. Language of movies, they could have just kissed in a really romantic scene.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Which
so it's not excusable in that way. Because if you have a scene built up, sorry about that. Yeah. I don't know. So, but yeah, if you have a scene built up and it's like a big moment and the music swells and they kiss, that's enough to an item. Like that's like, oh, they're an item. You could end the movie there and you'd be like, oh, they live happily ever after. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it's still too far.
Well, either way, if that is the language of movies, that's still unfortunate and bad.
Right, even if you couldn't do it another way.
Because societally, that's like, oh, well, now I'm not really with somebody unless I have sex with them.
Right. Yeah, and when I say the kissing works, I'm definitely thinking of older movies. Nowadays,
totally. Yeah.
Nowadays, it would still work. It would still get across, but nobody would do it. Like nobody would actually put that in their movie. Maybe there's probably some examples, but it's
So that scene's bad. It's done. You don't see anything. It's done very tastefully.
No,
yeah. So,
but if we're talking like baseline, can you show this to your kid? Sort of stuff. It's like, would you really want to show your kid?
That would be textbook parental guidance.
Probably, and how old the kids are. And like
exactly.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
What else? So nudity, violence, pretty minimal. There's a dead guy.
Guy dies. Yeah, but
it's not. So you're good. You're good on that front.
Yeah, nothing obvious.
Now to the real show.
Yeah, okay. You want to start us off, Dalton? How do you feel about Gattaca?
It's complicated.
Okay.
How I feel about Gattaca. Because I'll talk about the big main theme. Because there's the smaller people have emailed about Jerome's suicide at the end. And
I have things to say about it.
It's how that is portrayed is somewhat problematic. I think. But
please don't use that word ever again.
But the reason Gattaca is so complicated is because you look at the movie and there's a lot of like Vincent is clearly the hero of the movie, played by Ethan Hawke. He's clearly the hero of the movie. So you want to emulate the hero of the movie.
Sure.
But his whole thing is like lying. He has premarital sex. He's not.
There is an element of that. Yep.
Yeah, he's a little bit. That's pretty much 2 main things.
Right.
So those are bad. Those are both actually pretty bad things. And like he's like worked his whole life around a lie. I mean, really, essentially, is what he did. So it's interesting that all of that is in the movie, and it's the hero that does that, and yet the effects of that movie in my life make me just want to be a better man. So yes, the hero does things that are bad, but practically, I am motivated by this movie. Like even morality. Like I have to be the best. I have to go to church. Like I have to be the best man. I have to be the best father, the best husband, because that's what Vincent does. He's the best against all odds, pretty much.
Yeah, I will say that this movie, and I also have some things that like are concerns that I'm going to go into later, but that is something that I've noticed is a lot of people have seen this movie. I think in certain places in Europe and maybe in the US as well, people are actually shown this movie in like high school and stuff like that.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe it just depends on where or what classes, but some people saw this in school and just a lot of people.
I watched Napoleon Dynamite in school.
Yeah, me too. In Spanish.
In the that Spanish teacher was really phoning it in.
Not even a Spanish movie. Like,
well, first we watched Nacho Libre.
Oh, we didn't watch that.
But I think it was the same director.
Okay.
And maybe the teacher was a fan.
Anyway, yeah, that's something I've noticed. Everybody has this like upward sort of feeling when watching this movie. Like they want to better themselves. So even when we talk about negative parts of the movie, that's sort of like in the back of my mind at least is like practically this movie's had some very visibly good effects on people.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I think I guess I'll jump right into my big main point.
Go.
So it's easy to say the movie is about like overcoming genetic odds, right? I mean,
Sure.
there's all those lines. Like the whole movie is full of like really good lines, and I wrote all of them down like an idiot and filled up my page. But there's a couple.
You did that before and said you should not.
No, I was just joking. I didn't really do it.
Okay.
But I did get a couple good ones. Well, and that theme is fucking amazing, especially now.
Which one would you say again? Genetic determinism? Or
overcoming quote, genetic determinism.
Right.
Which isn't fucking real. Because that's a good theme, especially for now, when, I don't know if you've noticed how things have been going lately, but we're kind of like in a medicalocracy lately. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. It's an interesting way of putting it.
So, we're all really interested in our own health and like, oh, I can't do that because of my health, or maybe assuming things about the human body that aren't really true.
I just want to like expound on the medicalocracy for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Because if you think about it, not only you're obviously talking about a very obvious case in which our daily lives are being mandated by certain medical professionals, right? But there's more, and in certain countries that is becoming very restrictive. Australia, for instance. But
whoa, why?
No, it can't.
You must have misspoke.
But if you could look at it another way too, which is like the medical, like big pharma, like the medical field is in control of so much. Like if you think about what actually has big effects on our lives, first of all, number one cause of death is medical malpractice. That's number one.
Yeah, your social credit score just went low.
Yeah, well,
real low.
Not supposed to say these kind of things. But when doctors, this is a recorded thing in history that has happened many times and has been duplicated. When doctors...
Let me give you a second. I couldn't fucking believe this fact when Michael told it to me. I did research. It's 100% true. It sounds bonkers, but it's real.
When doctors go on strike, less people die.
The death rate goes down.
The death rate goes down. This has been consistently replicated
like 100 years.
In different countries, different time periods. Doctors will go on strike or something will happen to where doctors can't work or whatever the case is. And whenever that happens, the death rate goes down. Mm-hmm. So then on top of that, who is the number one funder of the news media? Don't
say it. But we all know.
Oh, what do you think I was going to say? You thought I was going to say something racial.
That's not what I was going to say. No, that's not.
No, it's the medical industry. It's
yeah.
the pharmaceutical companies. So like,
I guess we're a podcast. We can't be canceled.
No. But so what I'm saying is like, not only is it like the government is cracking down on people's liberties in the name of these medical professionals, but also it's the number one thing killing people is the pharmaceutical industries, and it is who is in control of the propaganda. Like who is funding it is fundamentally who's in control. And that's also owned by the pharmaceutical companies. So we do live in a medicalocracy, or however you put it. Like to an extreme. The more I think about it, the more it's like that is 100% true. Which is somewhat what Gattica portrays, which is why Gattaca's
I know. It's my part of the show.
Right.
So the reason... You got me all flustered now. So...
Sorry, I just wanted to flesh that out a little.
The theme where doctors are made to look like stupid bitches in Gattaca, I quite like, because they are stupid bitches.
That's 100%.
Because they're consistently wrong all the time. Do you remember the food pyramid, Michael?
Oh, do I?
What the fuck?
What do you mean remember? They still recommend that shit.
They're still doing that?
They sometimes cut it into like vertical slices, but it's still fucking bullshit. And they have a guy walking across it to imply exercise. But the thing is, you know why they imply exercise? This is another fun fact.
Why?
So the food pyramid is bullshit, and they always blame it on like, oh, well, all these Americans are unhealthy because they don't follow the food pyramid. It's not true at all. When the food pyramid was introduced, everyone then got fat, and they've shown in studies that people follow it, and that's the problem.
Oh yeah, it's obviously really you should be eating all that bread and pasta, all this processed food,
which we've known for like all time before the past like 50, 60, 70 years makes you fat. That carbs make you fat. And processed foods and seed oils and stuff like that. Not just carbs, obviously. But so like, not only that, but then they started saying like, oh, well, it's not that you're eating worse than you did in the past. It's not because we're feeding you literal poison. It's because you're not exercising as much in the past. So we'll just put a little guy walking on the pyramid, and then the pyramid works. And it's like, no. Actually, that's not it. You're wrong. Have you ever met a construction worker before? A fat construction worker? They move just as much as the fucking slaves building the pyramid. Maybe not that much, you know, but the slaves, weren't eating poison.
Doctors are still recommending that, which is something you could do easily research yourself.
You could fucking Google for 2 seconds and find so many studies that go against it.
Yeah, it's not that hard. But because these stupid science bitches have a degree, they say, no, I'm smarter than you. Because you have a piece of paper. That's what I like about... I was thinking about this recently, because I was on Fit on 4chan. And it was... So, my mom is a dietitian, which is funny if you see her. And...
happy you said it.
So, which... Little aside, my wife and I are looking for a pediatrician in the area. We got assigned a fat woman.
Oh, fuck that, dude.
Fat?
Yeah, you can't... I cannot trust
joking?
fat people... Period, but especially with health.
With health, it's like, it's a joke.
Yeah.
It's like,
You should not be allowed to be a doctor if you're fat.
No, you should have your license revoked.
I don't know if you should be allowed to be like in any public sort of profession as fat.
Be in public?
Yeah. I say that because of how big of an issue the obesity epidemic is. Like 75% of America is now overweight.
It's insane.
And
I don't think it's 75.
No, it is.
Is it really?
Obese is like 46.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah. I thought it was like obese was 40 or
no.
Overweight was 46.
Overweight is like 75.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But they don't even say that number anymore because of how high obese is. They just say obese 46, and that's fucking bad enough.
Yeah.
But yeah. So like if you're not fat, you are literally in the top 25% of people. Just to begin with, and nothing else taken into account.
And these people here in our beautiful country, they all believe in doctors, and it's like
less and less of them. Let me tell you.
No, that is true, but we've gotten to this point because we believe what doctors say.
Yeah,
and I can't. It's why would you do that?
Well, it's you see someone. It's that sort of amnesia where you see someone proven wrong over and over. But you just say like, well, but I still trust them.
Yeah,
you know?
well, it's
like when the news,
like every week, coffee's good for you. Coffee's actually bad for you. Chocolate's really bad for you. Oh, dark chocolate might cure cancer. It's like, why don't you just stop listening? Why don't you just turn it off?
Well, and then if you read any of those studies, because I'll see those things and I'll read the study, and like half the time you'll read the study and it's like, oh yeah, that's reasonable what's being said here, and then the next week a new study will come out that says the opposite, and you read that one, and it's like, no, that one's not reasonable at all. They tested the study on like literally 5 people, and it didn't actually test anything.
Here we use 6.
Yeah, it's so like. If you should just read the studies. But if you're not going to do that, which I understand, people don't have time, then just fucking ignore it. Just do what people have been doing for all time. Tradition is a much better indicator of good ideas than doctors. Like, no joke at all. At least when it comes to diet and health. I'm just turning my phone off.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, so doctors don't know anything.
Diet. I said health when it comes to diet. There are some things like broken bone. I don't know if...
We might have better ways to fix a broken bone now.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I do trust doctors. If I have a broken bone, I'm going to go to a doctor. They can do that. If I have a laceration, they can help me with that.
Right, exactly.
Injuries.
We're talking about like hygienic stuff and like disinfectant and like sterilization and stuff. Obviously, there's some situations where doctors take that too far.
We're getting into the weeds. We're trying to talk about Gattica here.
Hey, you got us here.
Well,
I'll take some credit, but
I like that it
fuck doctors.
Fuck doctors. That's what it's about. There's lines like the director. No one exceeds his potential because that's what doctors tell him because that's what they've genetically engineered. Mm-hmm. And he said I was genetically engineered to have no violent bones in my body, and he killed somebody.
You know what it reminds me of?
So that proven wrong. Shut up. We also have
this is good though. Sorry, I'll go.
We also have the part where he's running with Uma Thurman, and she's a heart condition like he does, and she says, "Oh, you know I can't do that," and he says, "You just did, bitch," and then dunks.
Yeah,
and I like that. I like that a lot. Also, the pianist. This is maybe the best line. The pianist who's got the 12 fingers.
Yeah,
Vincent says, 12 fingers are one. It's how you play. Mm-hmm. Which, like, yeah, that is what it's all about. The doctors don't know anything. They say you'll never go to space. They don't know anything. You can do it. Like you can. Where's some other doctor things? I had always been told that canola oil from my dietitian mother is probably the best oil. It's actually probably the worst.
That's like the worst one. I can't believe anyone would have ever told you.
It's actually probably the worst.
Oh yeah, it's pure poison. It's like industrial waste, and that's like.
Oh, I know. I was going to say about 4chan forever ago before you stepped on your own third rail, which is I was on 4chan Fit, and it kind of occurred to me how great the idea of being anonymous online is, because I feel like if someone like my mom or just an average doctor goes on there and says like, "Here, you're wrong about this. Here's a few different things. I'm a doctor, so listen to me," people would say like, "Fuck off.
Yeah,
you're LARPing." Because when you go somewhere where it's all anonymous, you're literally only judged by what you say.
Yeah, 100%.
And not by a fucking piece of paper.
That's always been the value of 4chan and 8chan and all those websites.
Yeah.
Because, like you can't do that. You cannot go on 4chan and say, I'm a doctor, so listen to me. You have to show your studies. You have to give your arguments. You have to do all of this. So ultimately... Now, it doesn't mean bad ideas can't get propagated in some ways. Mm-hmm. Usually as a joke because they're funny. But like you have to give evidence or everyone's just going to like, fucking idiot, I'm not going to listen to you. You know?
Yeah. It's very nice.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So doctors are proven to be fucking stupid in this movie. Oh, yeah, and there's people are going to take away the theme of genetic determinism, like I was saying before. That genetic determinism is bullshit, which is good. That's a nice theme to take away from the movie. You're gonna go to heaven just for thinking that. If that's your takeaway from the movie,
it's
even despite the lying and all that, and the suicide, and the premarital sex, if just that's your takeaway, that's heaven right there.
Yeah, it's good.
But that's not what the movie's about.
Okay.
Did you know that?
Well, I think it's part of what the movie's about.
But there's a much greater theme. It doesn't answer everything.
Sure. I agree too. I have other,
Because what the movie's about it's not about overcoming genetic determinism. It's about committing yourself entirely to something. which is a you got to go whoa to make it seem like a bigger thing I just said. I think, except you probably already got to that point.
Yeah. It's kind of. I've got 2 ideas for themes, and both of them are about that. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because.
So I agree with you. I definitely agree with you.
I'm all disheartened now because it doesn't explain why why Jerome kills himself or why overcoming genetic determinism is even good, or why the famous the swimming scene, why that makes any difference. Why is Jerome's brother Anton? Why is Anton disheartened by not being able to defeat Vincent in the race, or not even a race, like the game of chicken that they play? Because Vincent has committed himself entirely to being an ubermensch and fooling the world,
right?
And Anton never did, and he never did because he never had any reason to.
Yeah.
Same thing with Jerome. That's why Jerome kills. That's why he attempts suicide the first time, because, well, actually. No, that's different. The first time is different. But that's why he does kill himself in the end. That's why he says, I'm proud of you, Vincent, because Jerome never had to commit himself entirely. He was just a genetic masterpiece, proven wrong, or by a genetic determinism proven wrong by him only getting second place.
Right. Although they don't say if... It's implied that he's the best, and yet he still got second place. But we don't know if the guy who beat him was literally just better, like genetically better. But it's implied that he was missing something more than the genetics.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because that's why he was depressed at the end. Is because that's why he was so proud of Vincent. That's why he adopted Vincent's dream, as he said. Yeah. Because he could never have a dream. Everything was just handed to him his whole life, which is how I'm sure a lot of people of our generation feel.
I was going to say
if everything wasn't taken away from you unjustly, and if you're a Zoomer and everything wasn't taken away from you, everything was handed to you. You're pretty much either one or the other. If you're a Zoomer,
it's usually both. Actually,
it does feel like both.
It's usually that you were coddled your whole life, but you never were actually given anything important and that actually mattered. Imagine a single mom household.
So I am both Vincent and Jerome.
There's a little bit of both. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Because you imagine, what I meant by that is you imagine a single mom household. You're coddled. You're given everything you want. It depends on the single mom. I've definitely met some bitches, but well, they're kind of, most of them aren't. But you're given everything. They coddle you, and especially if they're divorced parents that you see both of them, you're always getting 2 birthdays. And you're getting all this, and they don't want to upset you because they're all you have. But at the same time, you didn't get any of the stuff that matters, like an intact family.
Yeah.
Or values.
Yeah, I feel that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. It's also the same with, I was just going to interrupt.
Oh, yeah, it's like you don't even have to do a divorced parents thing, but it's like a rich kid whose parents are never around. That's what
I was going to say. I was going to mention that. Yep.
Yeah, you're given everything, but given nothing.
Or even just a rich kid in general, is what I was going to say. Imagine someone their life has been made their entire life, so therefore they don't have to try, which means they do worse. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The second generation of a rich family almost always does extremely poorly because they don't have to work.
Rags to riches to rags.
So it's the same thing where Eugene didn't have to work for it, and so he did worse.
Eugene, because who is of what Jerome. He was given.
I'm saying Eugene because it's Eugene and Vincent are the least confusing names for them.
Okay.
Jerome is the name of both of them. You know what I mean?
I'll do that.
Yeah.
What do you think of Jerome's suicide?
I've got some thoughts I'm going to say later.
You got a big thing?
I've got, yeah. I mean, I think it is very important in a way.
No, it's super important. Or sorry, Eugene's suicide. At the end, the guy in the wheelchair kills himself. And so, couple issues.
Suicide is wrong.
Suicide is wrong. Yeah, don't do it. It's actually really bad. And the movie almost kind of portrays it as noble.
Yep.
And that is bad. That is very bad. I do think it is realistic and fitting for the character.
I think it is somewhat.
That guy would absolutely kill himself.
I think it's definitely possible.
He's a fucking wreck the entire movie. He's very charismatic. You like him. You don't want him to kill himself. You want to hang out with him. He's
great character. Yeah.
But he's got some troubles.
Yeah.
And when Vincent leaves, he's got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna kill himself. honestly. But the way it shows his medal, it's like he's now accepted that he is second best. He's accepted his position in life.
Right.
Which he's not because he's killed himself. He has literally not accepted it. It's like
suicide is a cowardly thing.
He's a coward, really.
He's not facing up to his situation.
It's like Vincent says he refused to play the hand that was dealt to him about Vincent himself.
Right.
Jerome, I guess he folded at that point.
Well, I was gonna say it is realistic in that way because there's another. I recently watched Les Miserables, and I don't want to spoil it or anything, but there's a character in that kills himself because of his like being faced with like the way someone else is and how his set of values is called completely into question, and rather than face that and like realize that he's got to change everything about himself and all these decisions he's made in the past are wrong, instead he kills himself.
Yeah.
And it's just like you see that in all sorts of media. That's just one example. And this is another example where it's like, rather than face what terrible situation you're in, you kill yourself. Which is just a really good example of like, suicide being cowardly. Mm-hmm. Eugene takes the easy way out.
Yeah, especially just how it's portrayed so positively is as the shuttle is taking off, he's burning, and it kind of looks like the shuttle is burning him, almost like for fuel, kind of.
Yep.
Which, true, I guess. He wouldn't be able to go to space if he didn't have... Vincent wouldn't be able to go to space if he didn't have Eugene. Yeah. But, I wish he didn't kill himself.
Yeah. There's also... I think that's symbolic in a genetic determinism way, and I don't think any of us...
Oh, because his ideals were burning up.
Yeah, let me say that real quick, because neither of us did too much about genetic determinism. Did you notice...
the movie that is obviously about genetic determinism, we both say... It's actually not about...
Well, I mean, it is on one layer.
The show is actually about Squidward.
Did you notice that his name is symbolic? Eugene's?
Vincent. Oh, no, Eugene's?
Eugene's.
Or
Jerome Eugene Morrow. Genome Eugenics Tomorrow. That's his name. His name is... Jerome Eugene Morrow. Genome Eugenics Tomorrow.
You're saying three. You're saying the name and then you're saying three different words.
Dalton, it's no. Like seriously, it's like 100% meant to be that. Jerome is
sounds
genome.
Like genome. Eugene
is
like
eugenics. And Morrow is tomorrow. His name was literally they built his name out of just like. They took the themes of the movie and like let's just kind of stick that. They're like the setting of the movie and like let's build a name out of that.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, Vincent Freeman. You think that's not on purpose?
Oh, I didn't remember his last name.
Yeah, Freeman.
Oh, yeah, that's a little.
Yeah, that's on the nose. Yeah, so the names are clearly like. But anyway, so he's especially by his name, he almost kind of and because he's the perfect person, he's genetically perfect.
Yeah.
Or he's supposed to be. So he represents genetic determinism. And it's almost like, if you look at it, the ending at a societal level, it's like eugenics is not successful. And that is going to be consumed by society to propel the actual success of humanity, which will be led by the human spirit.
Oh, yeah.
So you could look at it that way.
That's nice.
Yeah. Which is it's nice. Yeah. That's not I don't really have much else to say about that, but it's just something,
Well, I have a couple more points.
Keep going. Absolutely.
One negative, one extremely positive.
Okay.
All my negative things about this movie are so small.
Sure.
But they could be big. It's a complicated movie.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So here's something. I kind of want your thoughts on this. What about Gattica, which is Gattaca with cat girls?
What are you asking me?
Sorry, I was drinking when I wrote that note. Different question, real question.
You did write that too, though. I see it.
It says Gattaca with cat girls.
Okay.
Would that be a better or worse movie, Michael?
Worse.
Here's the real question. There's a certain amount of like dignity in accepting your place in life.
Yeah.
And this movie goes directly against that. Like, ambition isn't something you necessarily have to have. Ambition's not going to... You should have ambition for Christ, but, like, even that was, like, in check. Like, don't expect to be a great saint in your life. Just live your life really, really well and, like, follow him in all things. So, the whole go against everything to follow your dream is like, I don't know, dude. Really,
it can be taken in a bad way.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things I had to say later. Is that yes, that can be taken in a very bad way. It's possible for sure.
Yeah, I'm unclear what to do with that theme, because if your dream is just to go to heaven, great on you. But if your dream is to go to space and you're gonna lose your identity completely to do it,
right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I have two answers to that when we get to my part.
I see. I've stumbled upon your main points.
Yes.
I won't step on your toes then. But yeah, I think just this one movie doing that isn't a big deal, but it's a really common theme in, like, especially American media. Follow your dream against all odds, which you shouldn't.
Yes, absolutely.
In most cases, you fucking shouldn't. In most cases, if you're not as good at singing as you think you are. That's just not your fucking place in life.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody's going to be a big successful writer, and it's wrong to think that there's not dignity in being a landscaper, in being a humble carpenter. Obviously, there's not everyone needs to be big famous fashion designer.
Yeah.
You know. Live in a small town. Do something small. There's dignity in that. Live a good life. And like I said, if it's just in Gattaca, that's fine. But it's like every piece of media is you should follow your dream.
I agree. It's almost like Gattaca does it pretty well.
Yeah.
But other media doesn't,
especially
which
kids media
can make Gattaca look like just another piece of a bigger problem.
Yeah. Almost like the premarital sex thing, where it's not really that bad in this movie. It's bad, but it's not like that bad. But it's in everything, and it's like it's another brick in the wall. It makes it, yeah.
Yeah, Gattaca surrounded by other bad movies is worse than Gattaca on its own.
Yeah, totally. And who's your favorite character? I'm just curious.
Well, there's only there's two answers, right?
I can think of a lot of characters.
I mean, probably Vincent, dude. I mean, obviously,
I like the doctor.
Oh, the doctor's great. Yeah,
the doctor's. So I think you're watching Gattaca. There's probably a lot of parts where people might tear up a little bit because it's so emotional. Like, I'm getting chills just thinking about a few parts of it.
Yeah.
I like all of it, but I'm like just about crying at the very end when the doctor knows.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a little misty just thinking about it. Where at the end I'll explain when it's revealed that the doctor who's been testing Vincent the whole movie to make sure who he says he is, that he's valid and not invalid, says I'll summarize. I know you're not genetically.
Yeah, he knew the whole time.
I knew the entire time, and Vincent just has this look on his face that's like, oh, thank you. I can't believe it. Yeah. And that doctor people like the doctor are going to save the world. Mm-hmm. Like people in companies who if you're in a company that's doing some bad shit, like many are now in our medicalocracy, and you're just putting little, you're just kind of just fucking them in little ways. You're a hero.
So you're saying those doctors who are making fake vaccine passes? Heroes.
I'm not saying that. And that was a question.
I am.
Okay, I try to help you out there. And just I don't know, just the love of a stranger who also believes in your dream and is putting his whole life, career on the line for you.
And because his kid had genetic deficiencies that, weren't planned for, but so he wants to see his kid be able to do something great.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. It's hard for me to put my finger on exactly why that's so beautiful, but it is fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good.
And did you notice too when the treadmill scene, Jerome's on the treadmill and his heart thing falls off?
Yeah. And
he hears his real heart rate?
Yeah.
The doctor noticed that.
Oh, no, I didn't.
There's a little shot where the doctor's looking.
Oh, interesting.
Just a little clue that he knew even then. So the Doctor's great. I love him so much. What makes him so great thematically, and I got this from friend of the show, Alex.
Okay.
And I thought, like, this is genius. The movie Gattaca could almost be seen as very pro willpower, almost like Nietzschean.
100%.
If it weren't for the Doctor, willpower was not enough. The whole time,
It's true.
he had the Doctor, someone who, in a sense, loved him, to help him out. He knew the whole time. He could have ratted him out. And Vincent never would have got as far as he did.
Oh, yeah. I definitely agree.
And you could almost... So even that's good. It keeps willpower in check. Because willpower is important. You should have willpower in life. But it's not everything.
It prevents... It's the check against the Nietzschean theme.
Exactly. The Doctor, you could almost see as representing grace.
Maybe. Yo, you're going to love my themes, dude.
Oh, really?
This supports one of them. I didn't even think about this element of it, honestly. But yeah.
Yeah, because it's completely unearned.
Yeah.
Vincent is even like a dick to the Doctor at some points, because you should be. Keep this guy at length.
He's kind of smug. I don't know if he's too much of a dick, but he's kind of like
at the blood test part, he's like actually rude.
Yeah,
to
would
the
have you
Doctor.
been out of practice or whatever he said, something like that. Like
just like uncalled for, Vincent.
Yeah.
But
to sell, he's doing it to sell his.
No, I get it,
but still, yeah.
Yeah, from the perspective, and you know what? Like, perhaps God says, like, all right, I get it. I know what's going on. I still love you, you know? And, I just think, that's really great.
Yeah.
So I think, despite all the bad stuff, really what most viewers are going to take away, even if they don't know it, because they're probably in their intellectual brain, they're going to say, oh, it's about genetic determinism isn't everything.
Yeah.
But they'll feel in their heart, and they won't be able to articulate it, that it's about committing yourself entirely to something. Whatever that is in your life, commit yourself entirely.
You didn't even mention two of the biggest points towards that, which is the swimming scenes. One of which is
the most famous line of the movie.
Most famous. Well, two lines. One first, I'll say the less famous one, which is "We're closer to the other side. There's no going back now," which is committing yourself completely. He says that to his brother, almost like it's a joke, you know. So there's that one, and the most famous line in the movie.
I never saved any for the way back.
Exactly, which that is committing yourself completely to something.
Yeah.
So absolutely, yeah. Which you're talking about parts that make you cry. That is the best.
I mentioned that earlier.
Oh, yeah. That is the best scene of the movie. I never saved anything for the way back. That scene where his brother's struggling with like not being as good, even though he should be better.
Yeah.
And like that's the best scene of the movie. It's so good.
Yeah.
All right. So
that's it. That's what I have. Commit yourself entirely. You're going to go to heaven because no matter what this movie has in it, you're probably going to take away, I should improve myself. I should be like Vincent, which, despite his faults I mentioned, at the core is be the fucking best. Put everything into something. Hopefully that's Christ. But even if you're just, like, if you say, I'm going to lift a lot of weights, do it. And don't take shortcuts. Don't do steroids. But commit yourself entirely. If you want to be...
Apparently you can, though, get a height enhancement. That's allowed. Because he does that.
That's... Honestly, it's such a small dick thing to do. Cause that's a real surgery. You can do that in real life. Yes.
Wow.
You can.
Does it heal?
Yes. And
I could be 8 feet tall.
Yes, I don't think you can probably gain like 3 inches, but it's
I could be 6 foot
it's
6.
Very expensive. It's incredibly painful, and it takes for fucking ever. But it's real. You can do it.
That's wild.
Yeah, and that is such a small dicked thing to do. My life would be better if I were 2 inches
Dalton,
taller.
you're what, 6'1"?
I'm probably like 6 feet tall. Yeah.
I'm 6'3". That's very easy for us to say.
Come on. Like,
you know what
really?
I mean? We're like tall, you know? So it's easy for me to say, like, I don't,
So
who would do that?
I just want to point out, so what you're implying right now to all our 5'10" listeners
is that they should do it.
You should.
No. I'm just saying I understand that they might want to do it.
No, I get it.
Shouldn't do it.
But it's such a pussy thing to do.
No. Yeah.
But that being said,
5'10" especially, you can easily find women shorter than that.
Yeah. But that being said, that it's a pussy thing to do. Fucking, I'm impressed by anyone who's like, yeah, I'm gonna make $100,000, have my legs chopped off and put back on.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Like, you know what? The reason is stupid, but you committed entirely, and I really respect that. Yeah. Take that away. It'll send you to heaven. Even if it's like something I want to get really good at fixing cars. Commit yourself entirely. This is something I struggle with. I got a million irons in the fire.
Right.
You're probably the same way as me.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of people listening are the same way as me. I'm doing all these different things. I don't commit myself entirely to any one of them. It's fucking hard, but it inspires me to get better at shit.
Yeah. All right.
It sounds like you're being a little quiet because it's like, yeah, I have more to say about that, but it's actually like an hour long. What do I have to say about that? So
no, not that in particular.
I'm gonna save it.
Not that in particular. I was gonna say though. Well, I also just didn't want to interrupt you. It's kind of like you were finishing up.
Yes. Very polite of you.
Then I forgot what I was gonna say. So
great. You want to take a break?
Yeah. Let's read some emails.
Yeah.
Also, if you have the donation thing ready.
I do. So explain how our show works.
Okay, so basically, as we said, the pharmaceutical industries rule the world and are trying to kill you slowly. Allegedly and slowly. Not right away, because then they wouldn't make any money on you. Have you seen that? You saw that conference, right, where they said, like, hey, is curing diseases a sustainable business model?
Yeah,
I believe the conclusion was no.
Yeah.
Do you see the other one where they said, like, man, it's going to be impossible for us to do a new way of giving vaccines for the flu. We should, like, create, like, a new disease to, like, change. Never mind. Don't look into that one.
Don't look into that one. That's a fictional.
That one's crazy. Yeah, I read that in a book somewhere. But, yeah, so, and that's most other advertisers aren't much better. I'm looking at you, NordVPN. You basically fucking want us all dead also. But so we don't take advertiser money.
Yeah. ZipRecruiter?
Fuck you.
More like Nazi recruiter.
Yo, wait, but I like. But yeah, so we don't take advertiser money, but we also have to eat. I mean, occasionally, you know what I mean? And we have, like, bills to pay and shit. And this takes time. And we feel like we're doing some sort of small service, and we hope that people feel the same way. So instead of taking shitty fucking I tried to listen to a podcast earlier today that I was extremely interested in. It was a guest on Stefan Molyneux, some woman, and she was talking about, like, relationships. And she had a call-in show. And I'm like, fuck, I love that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And, like, if she's actually, like, even a little bit based, like, she's on Stefan Molyneux. So it's like, oh, this could be a great call-in show. When I run out of Stefan Molyneux call-ins to listen to, this is going to be great. Try to listen to an episode, and she, like, talks to this. She's interviewing someone. She talks for, like, 20 minutes, and then she's like, first of all, the podcast starts with an advertisement. Then it's, and I'm like, I, like, sit through it, because I'm like, fine. And then it's, like, 20 minutes of an interview, and the interview's starting to get going, and she says to the guest, well, we're just going to have to wrap that up real quick while we get to an ad. And I turned it the fuck off. That's like, are you kidding me?
It's infuriating.
So that kind of shit.
These people look so fucking stupid. When they, like people on YouTube, like, if you ever watch, like, I watch cooking shit, but people are, like, Adam Ragusa is, who I hate, by the way, but I watch all of his videos. He'll, bad example. Who's someone? Well, anyway, he looks like an idiot because he's doing all these, like, cool food science stuff, and, like, oh, this is actually why onions taste this way, because of the sulfur in the soil, and because of the sandy soil in this part of Georgia. That's actually why you get all the onions. And I'm like, oh, that's actually quite interesting how soil relates to. And now a word from Blue Apron. It's like I skip it.
Yeah,
everyone's skipping this. This is fucking stupid, and you look like a whore and an idiot.
Yeah. So we don't do that. Instead, we follow the value for value system, which, to put it simply, is that we give out this podcast for free. You can just listen to it. You're listening to it now. You didn't pay anything. And we ask that you in return give us what you think it's worth. Imagine if you went to see a movie and the doors were just open and you just walked in and you saw the movie. Then when you went out, there was the guy at the ticket counter while you're leaving is like, so what do you think that was worth? And you said, the movie's fucking garbage. I'm not paying anything. And he said, have a good day. Bye. And then some other guy's like, that movie changed my life. Here's $1,000. That's our system. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You choose. You choose what you want. If you don't want to pay, fine. Stop listening. I don't care. You know, you don't like it, you don't like it. What are you going to do? Yeah. But if you like it and you think it's worth something, then just give us what it's worth. That's the basis. That's the basis.
There's no price on the show. However, I will say it's not free.
I mean, yeah, like you should maybe feel slightly bad if you don't. I mean, if you don't have any money, you don't have $5 to your name.
If you don't have $5 to your name,
get a job.
Share the podcast.
That's what I was going to say.
There's still stuff you could do. The value for value doesn't necessarily mean money. Yeah. You know what would do a lot of value for the show? If someone would send me some art. You want to do some art? Look, you know what show we're going to announce. We're about to announce the next episode. If you could make a square image that I could use for the banner for the album art of this show to put on all the podcast apps, that'd be great. Like it would draw people's, oh, that's something new. I haven't seen that before. I would love that. And then you never have to give me money ever if you just
also do that. Just like, sharing the podcast, shilling it. I have this guy, so I have a YouTube channel, Yeoman Vidya, YEOMANVIDYA.
Aren't you switching over to the other channel?
No.
Oh, okay.
And that channel has been like I made a video, this one particular video about roguelikes, video game genre, not important. But this guy shills it. I don't know who this guy is, but one guy continuously posts my video on every single relevant thread on 4chan. He must be there 24/7. Like every single day. Every time a new thread comes up, he puts it in there. And I've gotten so many views on that video from this guy doing that. All I'm saying is if you don't have any money, because you're like a NEET who's at home all day reading fucking 4chan or something, you can shill the podcast.
You can put it on 4chan. Where's the Christian? Does 4chan have a Christian board?
No. Only 8chan had that. 8kun I think maybe has one
8,
still.
8kun?
They're pretty dead.
Hold on 8kun.top.
Don't fucking chill. What are you, crazy, dude?
What?
No. Don't go down. No.
I don't know where the bunker is.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Yeah. Put it on your Discord.
Just shill it. Plus, there's no one fucking there, Dalton. So that's not a good place to do it.
Sorry.
Just shill it.
I'm not up with the Chans anymore.
Yeah, but I don't know, dude. Maybe it's because I'm like an old school, 4chan user. But you're not supposed to fucking advertise. It's a super secret club, Dalton. You don't just give them the address.
You're right. Our millions of viewers now. Yeah. now know. Fuck.
It's like a fucking basic. Did you not read the rules before posting? I bet you didn't lurk for 3 years before doing anything.
I did. I'm still lurking.
I lurked for fucking 10 years. Yeah. Okay, anyway, yeah, that's the system. So we'd like to thank
Hold on. This is where these people I'm about to thank are getting real producer credits. They are executive producers and associate executive producers. They can put this on their resume, and if anyone questions it, we'll vouch for you.
I'd like to point out, this is 100% true what he's saying. But also, I doubt, maybe it is, I doubt that's anyone's primary reason for giving money, right? The selling point to you is that you are supporting us doing more of this thing that hopefully you enjoy, and you're giving what it's worth. As a bonus, you get a cool thing to put on your resume that is a real credit, because that is literally how big movies do it. Like, some of those movies where you turn it on and before or after the movie it says executive producer, Dick Wolf or whatever. Sometimes that guy didn't do anything. He literally just gave money, which is not nothing. You know what I mean?
No, you're giving us feedback. You're saying that you like the show, and that that means a lot to us. You are real producers. We have 2 executive producers.
Big money. Big money.
We have $100 from CONFOX. Thank you very much.
A very long-time supporter.
Long-time
friend of the show.
And we have another $100 from someone called Boomer Vet.
Thank you, Boomer Vet. Thank you. I don't know why we're clapping. They make fun of Americans for stuff like that.
They are. What is with you, man? You're all defensive today about stuff.
Well,
so we got defensive about that. Fucking defensive guy. So those are our executive producers. Thank you very much. And we have an associate executive producer, Matthew. So thank you very much.
Also a longtime friend of the show.
Also a longtime friend of the show, Matthew.
Yeah. Well, as long as I assume it's the same Matthew. Could be someone else, but I think it's... Oh, no, that's from Patreon, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Same guy.
And these people are all well on their way to their Patrician certificate.
Patrician title. Which comes with a certificate.
We will send them, we will send them a signed certificate. Who will it be signed by? Nobody knows.
Yeah, because I'm not going to sign my name on it. Give you my identity.
But we will send you an official Patrician certificate. You are a Patrician of the show.
Yo, we should get stamps made.
We should get some stamps made. That's a good idea. Yeah. And we'll send you Patrician approved.
We'll stamp it with instead of having our signature, we could stamp it. You know what I mean?
We'll talk about it off air.
Okay.
But yeah, if you cumulatively donate, no matter where you do it, $500 for the show, you're an official Patrician. There's perks that come with that.
And Dalton, if I wanted to donate money, how would I go about doing that?
Well, you could go to our Patreon, patreon.com/willitsendmetohell, or you could go to paypal.me/willitsendmetohell. 2 places to donate. We thank the Patreon producers on the first episode of the month, and the rest will be whenever.
So, just in case you're unaware, Patreon is a place where you can donate on a monthly basis, which is very appreciated because it gives us sort of a more steady income from the podcast. We can kind of look at that and okay, I'm making this much a month, So that's you want to give, just $5 a month. That's a way to do it. Whereas on PayPal, you could do that, obviously, but you could also just give some big sum.
Yeah, exactly. So that's nice too.
Those are the 2 different ways of doing it.
Let's read the emails.
Yeah.
So the first, we have a note here from executive producer. We'll read the executive producers first. Executive producer CONFOX, who just says, "Yo, here's a dono for the upcoming Gattica episode. I'm stoked you guys are doing an episode on it. Really looking forward to it." Well, hey,
cool, thanks, dude.
Congratulations, buddy. This is it. This is what you got. And then the other executive producer, of course, Boomer Vet.
We got Boomer audience, dude. Unless it's a joke name.
It's a joke name.
But I like that we got the old... We start the podcast by saying, if you remember 9/11, might not be for you. And he's like, nah.
I was a first responder. Gentlemen, I thoroughly enjoy your podcast and am impressed at the depth of knowledge you both demonstrate. He's referring to how shallow it is. I'm
impressed that you know so little.
I'm impressed how fucking retarded you guys are.
I've never seen it before in my life, and I'm old.
I appreciate how you approach each episode from multiple angles and clearly have taken the time to do your homework. Ooh, I see we've got them all fooled. We're like little Vincents in here.
I do reading on this, dude.
My one complaint listening to 2 episodes about anime, parentheses, cartoons, literally made me dumber.
He is a boomer. This guy is old. All right, perfect.
I would like to offer the 2 of you a challenge.
Okay, all right.
I will donate another $100. 100 smackaroonies. Ooh. Think of all the gumballs you could buy with that, child.
With inflation, 5.
If you can both make it through an entire episode without using the word "like" a single time.
Okay, are we allowed?
I think if we're using it as "I like something" or "that is like
similar
this,"
to, but he means as a filler.
As a filler word. Yeah.
Although for the challenge, I'd be willing to try it. Even the other, we would just say "similar to" or "I enjoy."
I'm just gonna take the L on that one.
What? No, come on! I want the $100.
Okay, all right. We'll practice. We'll practice. We'll get there.
We'll practice. My next few streams, I'll try.
He's gonna be there. Fucking
perfect.
What?
Not only is that a way for us to earn $100, but I already know what my next stream's gonna be. My next stream is gonna be titled "If I Say Like, the Stream Ends."
Where do you stream?
Oh, I stream at twitch.tv/yeomanvidya. That is twitch.tv/yeomanvidya on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific.
What are your cross streets? And then he says, and no fair editing in post, Dalton. God is watching.
Oh, yeah, because you could just take
just take it out.
Yeah, dude, you know how much work that is? That's not worth $100.
It does not have to be your next episode. My offer will stand as long as the show exists. Can we do it multiple times? Can we get really good at this?
Ooh, interesting.
That's a nice idea. Best of luck to both of you. Keep up the great work. Boomer Vet out.
Nice,
well, thank you very much.
Nice. Great note.
That's a very, very good note. Next note is from Eugenio Wargline.
Okay.
Are you the podcaster we're looking for? Hi there, my name is Eugenio. And I'm
skip. Next.
I hate getting these.
I know.
Now that we have an RSS feed, it's fucking annoying. Here's one from Fuck Ano.
He returns.
He returns. I like Gattaca. It's a good movie. Remember to keep your penis in the right hand. Never save any piss for the way back. Thank you.
That's the message.
Very good note. The next one starts out with, Hey guys.
Vsauce. Michael here.
This is from CONFOX. I want your thoughts on whether or not Gattaca glorifies suicide. When Jerome kills himself at the end, I get mixed messages. I'm sure you've got a lot.
I have more to say about it. Yeah.
He kills himself by incineration, and there's lots of flames both from the rocket and incinerator, symbolic of hell.
Possibly.
Probably not, because it's a pretty secular movie. But no. How secular is it?
You say it's a secular movie. Both my themes are religious.
Yeah, how secular is it?
I will get into
because
that.
At the beginning we have the
Bible quote.
Yeah, it starts out with the Bible quote. And I forgot about the Bible quote. Thank you.
Yeah.
And the mother is holding a rosary while she's giving birth. Which why didn't my wife do that? What the hell?
Oh.
We did pray the rosary, but I think I was holding it.
Wow.
Because she was giving birth, I think is why I was holding it.
That's a good reason.
Yeah, and then when Anton was born, clearly they've given up entirely on religion because they're aborting 6 fetuses or however many.
It's not. I don't think that's exactly how it works, but they are definitely.
No, they said terminating them.
Yeah.
They said we've fertilized however many, it was like 6 or whatever, and we're gonna.
Oh yeah, they did fertilize them. You're right.
Yes. So I didn't say anything about that.
That's pretty bad.
That is
really bad. Extremely bad.
Now that is Mangala
to
type.
be clear, though, the movie is pretty obviously against this sort of scientific.
Oh, absolutely,
setting.
Yeah.
So the movie's almost kind of neutral on it. It doesn't really say anything about it, but the movie is at least not positive about that aspect.
I think it's negative because it's against the whole system that's portrayed in the movie. So I think it would be negative.
And that's a part of that system that the movie's against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, however, there's also a shot of a silver medal in the flames, and the way it's glowing makes it look like a gold medal, symbolic of victory. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I didn't think. I thought of it more as a second place. But I see as it's I like that. I like that. Yeah. Do you guys think this is portrayed as something noble or damning? Am I looking too much into it? You're definitely not, pal.
No.
I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for taking my question. Gattaca is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I'm happy you guys did an episode on it. All the best, CONFOX.
Thanks, CONFOX.
That's a very nice note. I love getting notes like that. Fuck Anno came back with a real email. I just watched Gattaca again for review. Did you guys notice the name Gattaca is composed entirely of the acronyms for DNA bases? Yes. Obviously. Fucking idiot.
Dalton, you didn't even notice genome eugenics tomorrow.
No. You sound like a retard when you say that. I can't wait to hear for your thoughts about Jerome's suicide. Everyone's asking.
It's the biggest question because everything else in the movie is so positive, and then that's how it ends. It's like,
yeah. Yeah. He says the same thing. Okay. I think due to the main message being a good one, that is only transmitted through sins of otherwise moral characters. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm glad everyone's people are learning. They're saying, great movie, great messages, except. And everyone's really latched on to that.
It's like the regular viewers are starting to learn how to like dissect a movie morally.
Yeah.
Which is good. That's like the point of the show. That's good.
Yeah.
Because we can't cover every movie. So you want to be able to take what we talk about and you watch another movie and then now I can kind of is this a moral movie? You know?
Barring actual pornography, if you look at things that way, you'll be almost completely immune. If you're analyzing everything morally. You're going to slip up sometimes because you're stupid and you're not as smart as you think you are. But thinking about it that way is really going to protect you.
Yep.
Here we have one from Vape Nation.
Nice, dude.
Hi, I lied. This question isn't actually about Gattaca because I don't know if it will send me to hell. So I'm going to wait for your podcast just in case.
There he is. There's the guy.
This is the guy. But my question is in the same style as your episodes. Okay. That is, will Arthurian legend send me to hell? I have been told that the Arthurian legend is cringe gay shit, but I would really like to hear your opinions on it. Don't know if you guys read in the older medieval stories. My wife has. Have you?
I've read a more modern rendition of them, and then I've done like a little bit of reading of the older. I've read the Once and Future King.
Or if you're really interested in them, but it could also be a really interesting episode all on its own. There's a lot to get into. But I will say, because my wife, she reads out loud with the baby, Arthurian legend, which fucking cool. But everything I've heard seems good. It seems like it would probably... Yeah, they're all like explicitly Catholic, except for the characters who just said like, well, we're in love and we're going to get married, so we'll just have sex real quick.
Well, and let me give you a quick rundown on what Arthurian legend is about.
Oh, you probably know more about that than I do. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is literally a bunch of Catholic knights working together on a quest to find the Holy Grail. And all of them that don't succeed, that happens because they in some way fall to their sins, and that keeps them from getting the Grail. It is extremely moral, at least in like what I've read. Like where, like, yeah, when they'll have like premarital sex or something, that'll be like, oh, now they don't get the Grail. So yeah, from what I know, very, very moral. And yeah, I actually want to read more of them myself. But it would be interesting. It might be interesting to read some of those and do that for a show. So yeah, but that, yeah.
All right, we got one last email. This is from Colonial Age Mindset.
Okay.
He says, "Praise be to Jesus Christ."
Wow.
Yeah, he is risen indeed. That's a great way to start an email. I like that.
Yeah.
I am incredibly pleased you are watching Gattaca. It is a masterpiece of a movie and is one of the few movies that I believe will truly send you to heaven. This guy's, I think, a Protestant, so...
Oh.
Yeah, watch out for this guy.
Watch
No,
out.
I'm just joking. It is a movie that I could watch for the rest of my life and still love it just as much as the first time I saw it. I've seen it 3 times now. I actually like it significantly more each time I watch it.
Yep.
To get on to my point, however, I do have a question for both you and Dalton. How likely do you think it is that the genetic manipulation that occurs in Gattaca both is invented and becomes popular? Also, a very interesting question. Also, would marrying and having children with a GMO human be ethical or not?
It's an interesting question because...
Well, first, what's the first question?
So the first question being if it's possible and will become popular, I think possible, probably.
Yeah.
And popular, if it is possible, popular is almost a guarantee.
Well, yeah, I think the way society, so the way like the zeitgeist is going, yes, and people would be all about that, especially the way they frame it in the movie. Like, don't you want your kids to have the best?
It's the next pill.
Yeah, it really kind of is. But I think also the way society is going, I don't know if you noticed, everything's kind of crashing down.
I feel like
the practicality of most people being able to afford something like that, or I don't see it.
Not just that. I was going to say there's becoming like kind of a reaction against modern society forming. And I feel like there's a possibility where if the reaction against modern society coincides just right with something like this, some big technological advancement like this, we're going to get like a Butlerian jihad situation. A Dune reference for you.
Yeah. I was like, what the... Wait. Wait, I know that. I know those words.
In Dune, that's where they ban AI and like fucking destroy all technology because they're like, this shit sucks.
What a great timeline. I wish that was the timeline.
But so...
There's
I think
a very real
possible.
chance we're moving into either that or the two-tiered society, which is kind of why people have been talking about Gattaca again lately, because of just something that's been going around, and it seems like we're kind of going to have a two-tiered society as a result of that.
Yeah.
So maybe half the people, but the other half aren't going to have the money, or they're just going to say, fuck you, I'm not going to do that.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. And then insofar as your question about, like, would it be moral to marry one of them? I think first the question is, would it be moral to do that? Which is obviously no.
Obviously no.
To do the genetic manipulation. Obviously no.
Even if it didn't involve aborting fetuses.
Right. When you talk about the method that they use, it is so clearly evil.
Yeah. But just even if that doesn't even happen, you can't choose. Like, that's fucked up. Really? You're going to genetically engineer your child?
Well, it's not really your child anymore at that point. There's two ways of doing it. Either one, because this is like, you have to think about how this would happen realistically. And there are two ways using technology we currently have that this would come about. Or technology that we could progress from what we have. Which is either one, that we do what they do in the movie, which is we basically abort like 6 times more children than we abort now.
Which is a lot already.
Which is infinitely more than there should be already. So that's option 1. That's obviously immoral. Option 2 is that we like splice genes from other people or things into the human, like what we do with GMO like food. And doing that would mean it's not your kid anymore. Yeah. You are making your child a bastard.
Well, but in the movie though, it's all their own genes. They just take the best.
Right. No, I'm saying it's one of two options. Okay. Either it's
you're saying in real life.
In real life, it would have to be, just because of the way this works, it would either have to be taken from the mother and father, which would involve abortion, or it would have to be inserted from somewhere else, which involves basically adultery
Now that's all wrong. But what's also wrong is just the idea of it. It's like objectifying your kid, like you're customizing him like a Cold Stone Creamery ice cream.
Yeah, it's
like my wife and I, we have a kid. We really don't like people who dress up their kids for pictures and all that, and do all these like their kid's a doll. Like they put these kids in all these cute situations. Oh, we would do this with a kid. That'd be so cute. We can get a picture. It's like the kid's not for you. The kid's for the kid.
They're a person.
Yeah, they're a person. So it's almost taking that to the extreme. It's not just, we'll put some cute overalls on him and a sailor hat and it would look really, really cute. It's, he's going to have a cute nose. I have decided I'm going to put that into his genes. And it's objectifying.
Well, and I'd say it's an attempt to separate the body from the soul.
That's the next thing I was going to say. Yeah, exactly. It denies the soul. It's like it's all about the body. It's all about appearances, and the soul doesn't really factor in.
Oh, well, not just that. It's the fact that it's separating the two as if in some way they're not both important. That being that, like, there is a reason that the body you have is matched to the soul you have. Mm-hmm. Like, the body is important. Like, when we die and the world ends, our bodies will be assumed into heaven if we are in heaven, which implies there's something important about the body. Otherwise, why do we need it? We're already in heaven with just the soul. So, and it's your body. You don't get like a new one. You might get perhaps the best version of your body. You're in good health. You know what I mean? But like, you don't just, it's not just like, we'll just make a new one up here. Yeah. Right? So you are playing God in a fundamental way by saying like, nah, I can do this better. And that's the thing. That's what you're saying is like, I can do this better than God.
And more about how the body's important, because it's in our materialistic world, it's not obvious. But of course, Christ he didn't come to the world as a glowing orb. I am God. Yeah. He came with a body. He probably threw up at times as a kid or something. He had like infirmities like we do. The body is part of us.
Maybe. I don't know if he actually had illness or anything like that. I don't actually know if you're right about that. He had physical ailments inflicted on him, but you might be wrong, maybe even in a heretical way.
You think so?
To say that he had ailments.
Because of course, Mary,
Mary had a painless birth. So I think I actually think it's very possible that Jesus did not have any ailment except the ailments like inflicted on him by, being whipped and stuff like that.
That's quite interesting.
I think it's actually very possible. I'd have to read more into it. I never thought about it. I'm sure there's writing on it.
I'm glad I said that because that's
It's
a nice little thought.
Yeah. I bet that's the case. There's also this implication you find a lot in ancient writing that I think is probably true. And if it was said more explicitly in the Bible, then I would just say, like, well, of course it's true. But there's a part where I believe it's in Peter's letters to the Ephesians? Or it's in one of his letters where he basically says, I wish I had it on hand. I have it marked in my Bible, but I don't have my Bible on me. But
you don't have your Bible on you.
I almost brought it, actually. But he says basically, like if you read it, he says that the reason you are getting sick is because you are receiving the Eucharist while being in a state of sin.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And it's like, first of all, whoa. Second of all, it implies that evil actions can make you sick. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine saying that to somebody, because this is what he's saying, is like, oh, you have cancer? That's because you're a bad person. That is what he says in the Bible. Mm-hmm. So, another reason why I could see, like, Jesus might not have ever got sick.
It's very possible.
Did Adam get sick?
Afterwards.
Not before. Think about that.
Very curious. But of course, God chose to come into the world. It's interesting. I would be interested in reading more about that. Anyway, would marrying and having children with a GMO human be ethical?
So
I would say
if they have a soul,
if they have a soul,
yeah, which we assume they do.
Oh yeah. Yes, I would assume.
Whoa, no, because this is an interesting point of the movie.
Please don't bring Evangelion back into this. Gates of guff.
No. Because there is an implication in the movie that people who are genetically modified might not have souls. Because the people who are not genetically modified,
the godchilds,
they're the god. Exactly. Yes. Which means, what are the rest of them? If they're the godchilds, the rest must be.
They're not made in the image of God.
Not made in the image of God. Spawn of Satan.
Maybe.
There is that implication in the movie.
We're talking real life, though.
Yeah, well, okay. So I'm just saying you laughed at it like it's a ridiculous question, but it actually does play into the movie a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, it's interesting. In real life, would it be because you're already giving them if it is so important that the body is in some way fashioned with the soul, then if you change the body, will that soul reject the body? Will God not actually give that soul to that body? I mean, more than likely, that would just mean that the body would die. And none of these things
we're talking about you're an adult, she's an adult, she's GMO, you're not. Would it be ethical?
Yeah, it would be ethical, I think, except if you were using that in a way you're like, well, the church told me that I can't genetically modify my kids, but I can go marry a woman who's genetically modified. Yeah. Then you're just trying to get around rules, you know what I mean? And if it's a rule that the church passed down, then yeah, that would be immoral. You're not following the spirit of the law. But, in the law of the church, which actually matters.
But presumably that person would still have a soul.
Yeah, so otherwise it should be ethical, yeah.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't do it. But ethical would probably be okay.
Yeah, I would be scared about, like, what else is wrong with this woman? Not like because partially because of her upbringing, like maybe that's kind of messed with her head a little bit, but also just like I don't trust doctors.
I don't trust doctors.
I really don't.
Science.
This is like a person created by doctors.
Yeah.
I don't trust them even a little bit. You know,
they're not made by nature.
So it'd be pretty hard for me to look at that and say like, yeah, sure.
Certain things I think should be left up to chance.
That's the line from the movie, right? As
they say in the movie. Yeah. You notice. I guess. Oh, that concludes the. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, those are the emails. Yeah,
those are the emails. Back to the show. You notice how? So it's anti-genetic determinism, and we're kind of returning back to where chance is involved and fate is involved, and we're returning, or Vincent goes to the stars, like astrology or fate. Not astrology as in like... but
you're mixing up astrology and astronomy
again. Thank you. but like returning to fate. Like it's in the stars. Like it's not in the stars.
Okay,
it's in the stars.
I kind of see it, yeah.
It's just more part of the theme.
I guess. I could see that.
Explain. Tell me what you think about Gattaca.
All right. So I think it's like everybody watching this movie kind of knows that like it's about genetic determinism. And then at another level, it's about human will. And you took that in the direction of like committing yourself completely to something, which I think somewhat falls in the human will sort of aspect of it, you know? But I think everyone, and as we saw in the emails, everyone has the question of like, well, what about Eugene? Who is the name I'm going to use. Some people said Jerome, but like Eugene, same guy.
Jude Law.
Yeah, I forgot he was
Jude Law.
But
He's
okay.
Jude Law.
So what about him? Because he is such an important character that almost in some way undermines some of the themes. He kills himself at the end, which undermines sort of the positive religious or like positive moral message to the movie. Like his character is like a big wrench thrown into any interpretation of this movie. And he's a huge part. It's not just a side character. Like he is the second biggest character in the movie. Yeah. So I thought a lot about that when I watched this because I had the same thought. Like that suicide really makes me kind of question things. And I think there's two ways to reconcile his character and how it works with a greater theme of the movie. And I think the second one is more convincing to me on a couple levels, and I like it better. But I have to admit that the first one exists, and I don't like it because Gattaca is one of my favorite movies of all time. But I have to put this out there. And so the two options is that either Eugene is symbolic of the devil or a saint or Christ figure.
Oh,
So
those are pretty disparate.
Well, I'll explain.
You pretty much can't get any more disparate than that.
Well, yeah, of course. But so what we're looking at if with the devil aspect. So
is this the one you like or don't like?
That is one I don't like because I like the movie. I don't want to think it's about the devil. As you'll see, it gets bad.
Okay.
But there is evidence for it, which I like. Some of it's crazy. But so what we see in this movie is someone who's willing, like you said, he commits everything to his dream.
Vincent. Okay.
Vincent. And he's willing to do anything for his dream. His dream, by the way, which he can't accomplish because of his religious parents' religious conviction. That is the thing that prevents him from... He would be able to more easily achieve his dream if it wasn't for his parents being religious.
Yeah.
But so he's willing to give anything for that. And so he makes a deal with the devil, Eugene, in order to give himself, his soul, in order to get a body that is able to fulfill his dream. And that's why at one part, Eugene says, I hope I didn't get the names mixed up there a second ago, but Eugene says, I got the better part of the deal. I gave you my body, you gave me your dream. Another way of saying that is, I gave you my body, you gave me your soul. Like you gave me who you are. And this story is...
Oh, and also, just sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
But Vincent, he has to lie constantly.
Yes.
Which would
It makes sense then why he's doing all these immoral things, why he's lying all the time, why he has premarital sex, because he's fundamentally not a good character in this theme. So also, this is shown somewhat. This explains the name of Vincent Freeman. He's a free man. He's able to choose either good or evil, and instead of, like you said, accepting his place in society, he chooses of his own free will to take the deal with the devil. Also, Eugene, the silver medal, another question people had. What's the silver medal about? Obviously, you can take it as going against genetic determinism. But then at the end, like, why is there so much placed on it and like it glowing and stuff? Why does he have a silver medal? Because Satan lost the war against God and his angels.
Yeah.
Just like Eugene got second place.
Yeah.
So another example.
And thus burns.
The fire representing hell.
Of his own choosing.
And his legs are broken because Satan was cast out, like thrown out physically of heaven. And so he broke his legs upon impact, basically, is the idea of that part of the theme.
Okay,
It's a little bit of a stretch, I accept. 100% I accept that's a little bit of a stretch. That one, so...
The rest is like, I'm with you.
Okay. Also,
when you tell someone that again, leave that last part out.
Sure. This one I think is more convincing.
Okay.
There's the scene where he crawls up the stairs.
Yes.
Why? Because the serpent was damned to crawl on its belly.
Oh. Okay.
Seriously.
Yeah, okay.
And that's what he does. He crawls. He like it's more symbolism of him being the devil. And then there's one part where he says,
"This is bonkers."
Yeah. And then he has the line where he says, he always is saying stuff like, when they see you now, they see me. They don't see you. Mm-hmm. And like, from now on, you are me. And that's because this is the story of demonic possession. Vincent is giving up his soul in order to achieve his goals, and he is literally having the blood of Satan flowing through him. He is becoming more and more demonic as time comes on, until eventually the devil is able to cast off whatever form he's been using in order to fully inhabit Vincent. And why does he do that? This is the other question that like a part of the movie where you think like, what is that about? Is the end of the movie where he says like, maybe I'm not leaving. Maybe I'm going home. What does that mean? This movie, if you believe this theme, is the devil possessing someone in order to create almost like an antichrist figure that then going up in the spaceship representing going back to heaven, that the devil can now with this human body fight God once again. I'm going home.
Do you believe this theme?
No. Okay. No, I just think there's a lot of very interesting.
It's just. Okay, I'm glad you said that.
No. I just think there's a lot of really interesting evidence for it, and it does explain the questions that people have about like, what about the medal? What about Eugene killing himself? What about Eugene? Like all these different parts, all these things that he says, and like all these little. It all adds up. It all makes sense. But I don't think it's.
Yeah. So something I didn't mean to say on one of these episodes. I'll probably say it again in like 10 episodes because it's important. We're talking about will it send you to hell?
Right.
So we can go into like really, and people do this with movies all the time. It bugs the hell out of me with like these big crazy theories on what's the movie really about.
Right.
You can do that as much as you want. Room 237, the Shining documentary.
Sure.
But it doesn't really fucking matter. And there's a part of movies where it's kind of cool. You can interpret it in a lot of different ways. But not that many different ways.
Sure.
You know, some are a little batshit. For our purposes on this show, the big crazy theories are stupid. Because will it send you to hell? The two people in the world who thought the same thing about the movie? That's useless. Will it send you to hell is a useless information. If that's our takeaway, if our interpretation is the thing two people get, we want to talk about what are people actually going to get out of this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds like you're criticizing every episode we've done.
No.
Aspect of it. And I gotta say, I completely disagree.
No, Michael. Only some of them.
Yeah, no, I completely disagree with you 100% because also the point of our show is that what you get out of the movie at a basic level, like you watch it and that's what you think, is not what you're actually getting out of the movie. There's the idea
I agree with you.
You didn't notice, but your brain did.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. That's the stuff I think is important.
Yeah, and again, I don't believe this, but there's a lot like it's just one possible interpretation, and if it was true, which I don't think it is true, here's the thing: the reason I don't think it's true, even though I think there is evidence for it, and that like it does explain some things, and it's somewhat compelling. The reason I don't think it's true is because it doesn't hold water to what people actually feel when they watch the movie.
Yeah.
You hear the theory and it doesn't like sit with you and think like, yeah, you know, like when I said something your wife was talking about when I talked about Shrek, how like the fact that they like choose ugliness at the end of the movie, it sounds like like when I describe it, it sounds like an out there theory, but you hear it, like your wife heard it and she said like, I've always kind of had a problem with the way it ended and now you just articulated it. Even though, if I imagine when she watched the movie, she didn't say like anything about that, and you know what I mean. It wasn't a thought that came away with. It's that kind of thing. Like honestly, the reason why I think that this first theme doesn't work is because it just doesn't feel right.
No, that's true. And to be fair, I'm not criticizing you. I'm criticizing more internet. I'm
Okay,
probably criticizing you.
I hate that shit too. I mentioned that I think last time or on the podcast before that, where I hate the fucking stupid like nerd culture theory shit. Like what game theory and shit like that, where it's like, this is just inane. This is so stupid, and it has nothing to do with. And that's the other thing. Is like they care so much about like the plot of like theories of like what is it really about? And it's like, fuck off, dude.
You don't understand art in the slightest.
Yeah.
Absolute. I probably shouldn't say that word. But yeah, that's just what I'm saying. That is sorry, excuse me. Was like I think people are mostly going to take away genetic determinism, but what they're getting in their heart is like committing yourself.
Is at the very least an upward feeling. Is a exactly. Like improvement sort of thing, which is why you have to look at what it did. I mean, this was actually my argument for why Evangelion was good, is because even though you saw this negative stuff in it, it's like, what did it do for a lot of people? It actually improved their lives. But of course, for a lot of people, it also didn't. So it's and that's why it makes sense that it's a divisive show, you know?
Yeah. So I'm criticizing the internet. So the kind of analysis we try to do isn't that stupid idiot shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's how will it actually practically affect your life and at most people's lives, whether they realize it or not, but not what is it really about?
No, absolutely.
And I could totally see, and the reason I'm saying it now is I could totally see someone making a whole video about that whole Antichrist theory. Right. And like why Gattaca is actually Satanist propaganda. And like, oh shit, I gotta click on this. That's stupid. You could make all those connections. And I think some of them kind of make sense.
Some of them make sense.
But that doesn't fit with what people are getting out of the movie.
It doesn't. It's not practical because it doesn't fit with what people are actually getting out of it. So it does. It's like empirically not supported. You know what I mean? Like you can find evidence towards it, but the actual results don't match. Like you have another way of putting it. You have a hypothesis and you have evidence towards that hypothesis being true, but when the experiment's over, it's proving something different. You know, like you're getting different results.
Yeah.
And then also just aesthetically, it doesn't feel right. Like it doesn't feel right for the movie. Whereas even movies, sometimes there will be a movie you like, and then you hear something about how it's actually like bad, and that feels right, and you're like, oh shit. But like I thought about this for a long time, and then when I like sit back and think about like, is this movie really about demonic possession? It's like, doesn't really feel right. Like maybe I suppose. And the other thing is, I looked into the director. I don't remember his name.
Andrew Niccol. This is his first movie.
Yeah, his second movie, I believe. The Truman Show. That
was his first movie. He wrote The Truman Show, didn't direct it. And he wrote and directed this. The Truman Show would be a fun one to do.
It would. Podcast. But so because I could see, this is a possibility, and I thought about this. I could see it being the case that this movie was intended to be satanic. We're talking about Hollywood, dude. Yeah. It's not outside of the realm of possibility, which is why I had to entertain these thoughts at all. Like, it's very possible it could be intended to be a satanic movie. So then I looked at the director, and it's like, well, the director made The Truman Show. There's nothing I don't remember anything about The Truman Show being satanic. In fact, I remember it actually being quite a moral movie. So that kind of didn't really, it also didn't fit. There was no reason, but I was going to say, I could see it being a satanic movie and they fucked up and made it a good movie. You know what I mean?
That's what God likes to do.
Which is still death of the author. It would still mean at the end of the day, which would explain, you know, if that was the case, it would explain why there's these different things that I've mentioned that's evidence toward a satanic theme, but it doesn't feel right. That would be because the person who made it wanted it to be satanic but failed. So that's why it doesn't feel right, is because he accidentally did something different. You know, I'll admit that's possible. I think that's a bit of a stretch as well. I just, you know, I thought this was interesting enough, and I've heard people kind of like a little bit talk about this sort of idea of Gattaca. It might just be contrarians, you know, people, because Gattaca is such a well-liked movie that there's got to be somebody saying that like it sucks. And here's why it's from the devil. Yeah. That might be all it is. But I have heard kind of like whispers about like, yeah, Eugene's the fucking devil, dude. Did you know that? It's a terrible movie. And it's like, yeah, you're wrong. But it's interesting. So I wanted to, want to go with it.
All right, what's your second?
So the second, I think it's a theme about sacrifice. And sacrifice for someone else. Sacrificing your life to improve someone else. Because we have the character...
Is this the interpretation of the suicide in particular?
Of the whole movie, but the suicide is what prompts me to think about both these themes.
Okay.
To try and interpret the movie in a way with a theme that like works with everything, or with the suicide in particular, and Eugene's character in particular, I'd say. So you've got Eugene giving everything, like literally his body, everything about him in order to let Vincent have his dream. And I think in another way, if you take it religiously, this is another way in which you can see the spaceship going to heaven, which still explains why it says going back home, because it is him sacrificing himself to save the soul of someone else. And there is evidence for this. And my favorite thing about this is, do you remember the salesman who was like selling Eugene's like blood and everything? Who was like selling Eugene as a...
Tony Shalhoub, yeah.
So he comes in like a suit and tie, holding what looks like a Bible in his arm. Like the way the case he has, it looks like a Bible for sure. He looks like a weird Protestant preacher.
It looks like a Bible case, yeah. Okay.
It does look like a Bible case. It definitely doesn't look like a medical case in any way. Doesn't look medical even a little bit. And he's in the room with Vincent, and he's looking at a book on the shelf called Celestial Navigation. Funny title. You think about what I'm about to say. And she says something about like, you've been reading this. And Vincent says like, yeah, I have it memorized. He said, that'll get you halfway. And then he opens the case and shows the blood.
Uh-huh.
That's
the blood of Christ.
That's Catholic theology. You have the Bible memorized, that'll get you halfway.
Ooh.
You need the blood of Christ to actually get to heaven.
Ooh, I like that. I don't think that's really supported by
no, dude,
movie,
100%.
But I like that a lot. I think that's cool.
Because that's the other thing. What people take out of this movie is genetic determinism and human will, right? Yeah. But neither of those are actually supported when you take into account Eugene. And also the doctor, which is what I didn't consider. But like Vincent was 100% incapable of getting to space, which I'm saying in this way symbolizes heaven. Yeah. He is 100% incapable of getting there without someone else, not just helping him, but sacrificing for him. Like without Eugene, he is 100% incapable of getting there. Without Eugene's blood, he is incapable of getting there.
Okay.
So I think it's a clear symbol. And I just love how it literally, that scene is one of the most Catholic scenes I've ever seen in that sort of symbolic way. Whereas like, you've memorized that book, that'll get you halfway. Mm-hmm. You need the blood of Christ.
So, okay, here's the issue with that.
Okay.
Eugene's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, that's why he's more of he's like a Christ-like character in some ways, and then in other ways he's like a saintly character, and then in other ways he's redeemed by his sacrifice. You know what I mean? Like his sacrifice is what makes him like Christ, but his whole character is not Christ. Does that make sense? Like it's like how a martyr could be a bad person, but their martyrdom is what makes them like Christ, and they sacrifice for somebody else, and that martyrdom can save people's souls. Mm-hmm. In some ways, Eugene is a martyr for Vincent. The thing is, though, he still kills himself, and that's my biggest problem with the movie in general. I think the suicide is symbolic because they needed a way to have him emulate Christ in the movie by giving his life. But you think about, like, as a director, how would I do this if I wanted to portray that? But I need him to die, and I need him to die for Vincent, but I need it in a way that makes sense. Because I thought about this. Like, one way you could do it is have Eugene be blamed for the murder and take the blame instead of Vincent. Mm-hmm. And then he dies, and Vincent gets to go up. But there's no way in which that makes sense, because they have the same genetics. If they caught Eugene, they would know about Vincent. Yeah. So that wouldn't work. And even if somehow that worked, that would imply that Vincent lies and doesn't just tell them that Eugene is not the guy, and like that also doesn't make any sense. And of course Vincent didn't actually kill the guy anyway, but that, that's minor because if they're blaming him for the wrong thing anyway. But so you could see how where it's like, well, the only suicide just works, and we can look over the fact that it's literally a mortal sin because it works thematically.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I am. I think I wish it wasn't suicide, but I don't know really what else they would have done.
Yeah, I've tried to think of other answers, and the other answers, if it happened in the movie, I'd be like, well, that's fucking convoluted. That doesn't make any sense. That's not realistic. Whereas the suicide is realistic, at least.
Yeah, oh, that character would absolutely kill himself.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. I think it's more... I almost think you're right, but you're also overthinking it a little bit. I think just in the world, in the time we're living in, suicide isn't seen as bad as it really is.
Probably also.
So they probably said, oh yeah, that works okay. That'll kind of... And I don't think as much thought went into it.
Possibly.
I mean, just I don't want to be a part of Cooper, but kind of Occam's razor, just makes sense.
That might be true, but it doesn't matter because we're talking death of the author. So like that's probably true, but it doesn't really inform. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the reason I think it's true too is because I mean we're getting all these emails and just people have been texting too about the movie. That's the sticking point for everybody. That's
suicide. Yeah.
That's the stumbling block for everybody saying this is a masterpiece. A moral masterpiece even is the suicide. And by the way, that's a big white pill that everyone catches, the same mortal sin and says that's bad. Yeah. Even a lot of people are like, well, he lies the whole time and that's not good, but it progresses the theme, you know. I don't know.
Well, see, and that's the thing. That's what I was going to say is that the lying people are able to justify in the context of the movie because it progresses the theme. And I'm saying when you look at the movie as someone getting to heaven because of the sacrifice of someone else, then the suicide is also progressing the theme, and then it makes sense morally. Like, it still is not the best choice, although I can't think of a better one necessarily. But now it makes sense. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of my point in like looking into this way of thinking of it. Also, his last name being free man, again, you get free will, the idea that he's like able to like choose heaven, but despite that, he's not a free man because he needs Eugene to be able to do it. Again, like he needs this sacrifice and a doctor, like you said.
Who might represent grace.
There's also the father character says, like, you have to be realistic early on in the movie.
Oh, yeah, this is Vincent's father.
Yeah, yeah. And I see that... let me put it this way.
His father is a science believer, by the way, which is cringe.
Yeah. Cringe. When he said that, my mind is whack, so don't, but this doesn't mean anything necessarily. But what my mind immediately went to Eucharistic fast. Not the fast before the Eucharist, but the saints who would live for a long time on nothing but the Eucharist. And what I mean by that is if you look at it in a moral, like a religious way, and this movie is about sacrifice and getting to heaven, then what the father is almost saying is like, you have to be realistic. You can't be like a great saint. You can't even aim to go right to heaven. You purgatory first or something, or like whatever. You can't aim that high. Yeah. And keep in mind, again, some of this stuff seems like, oh, that's a bit of a stretch. Well, remember, this is a former Catholic saying this in the context of the movie. Mm-hmm. This is a man who was religious enough not to give his kid this genetic advantage, but changed his mind and is now no longer a Catholic. So what does he say once he's no longer a Catholic? You have to be realistic about faith also, because he clearly has lost the faith, right?
Yeah.
So it reminded me of just like this movie shows a man able to do the impossible physically because of his willpower, in a religious sense, it's also showing a man able to do the impossible spiritually because of the sacrifice of someone else.
Yeah.
And that just made me think of, there are documented saints who lived for years on nothing but the Eucharist. Mm-hmm. And that is physically impossible. like you would die from malnutrition after much less than years if you... I mean, the longest fast ever recorded is a little over a year long. And this guy, I think he only drank water and like took maybe vitamins, but he didn't eat any food, no calories, right? And he lasted about 380 days, and he was like 600 pounds to start. You have to remember. So there's no chance eating only the Eucharist you wouldn't waste away and die. Physically impossible. And yet it is recorded fact. Yeah. Like, it did happen.
Well, there's all kinds of shit.
Like yeah. But that's what it makes me think of is like, like with faith, with the Eucharist, with the blood of Christ, with the sacrifice of someone to help you get to heaven, these physically impossible things are possible, which is also what's shown in the movie, both by his physical achievements, but also by... Because that's the thing. If you really think about it, like, someone who has a genetic disposition towards heart attack that is so high that they say there's a 99% chance that they will die of a heart attack by the age of 30, there is no willpower that will overcome that. It just won't. Like if you have a heart condition, like if that bad, and you get on a treadmill and run that long, you'll have a heart attack. That 1% chance of not getting a heart attack by 30 that they mentioned, that's like if you don't do that. You know what I mean? That's like if you eat perfectly and don't stress your heart.
Yeah.
So like even this movie, it does not make sense just based off of willpower. It's physically impossible what he did. And yet he did.
Yeah, that's
which is why I think there's two explanations. One is to deal with the devil, and that's why it's physically possible now. Or it's a heavenly achievement. It's grace.
Yeah. I think I'm interested in learning more about Andrew Niccol.
I am too.
Because
I've heard people say that both of those two movies, I don't know what else he's directed, but I've heard both of them been described as secretly Catholic.
Yeah, so that all makes a whole lot of sense. I'm wondering how much the intention is behind it, because I don't know how, and death of the author and all that.
Yeah.
I think it might have accidentally.
Yeah, 'cause I don't care.
It might have accidentally portrayed that very well.
Yeah. I think
even if that's not per se everyone's takeaway, in spirit, in vibe.
Well,
I think that's the sort of vibe is doing the impossible. And I like that you brought the sacrifice in. That also resonates, as we say. That makes a lot of sense. So right. I think even if people aren't getting all the minutia of what you're saying, that's what people are walking away with. That's the feeling that they're getting.
Well, that's another thing is, if we, to some extent, the thesis of our show is like, you are what you consume. But we've mentioned that like, being able to think about it and talk about a show like this, even just listen to a podcast like this, allows you to be somewhat immune to it. Mm-hmm. But I also think it can legitimately reorient your view of a movie if it still resonates. And what I mean by that is like, if for some reason you watch Gattaca and you're like, man, this is a satanic movie, right? But then maybe you hear me talk about how it's like actually a godly movie, and that resonates with you, then like suddenly it's going to have a positive impact on your life, whereas before it had no impact or a negative impact. Do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. There's something we forgot to mention earlier, by the way.
What's that?
What are we watching for the next episode?
Don't interrupt me like this. The Exorcist. Let me continue.
Oh, I thought you were done.
I'm not done, dude. What are you talking?
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
What are you?
Excuse me.
Yeah, well, so I was also saying that I was going to say that it's also...
I can't see the timer.
It's also that there's the line in the movie, I never saved anything for the way back.
Yeah.
Which I took kind of in the same way that you took it, and that you took the general theme of the movie, which is to give everything. Mm-hmm. But I thought of it more specifically as give everything for God. Like every part of your life is dedicated to getting to heaven. And
yeah, if you look at space as heaven,
which is the only way...
It does kind of make a lot of sense.
Here's the thing. When you watch a movie, some of the most important things about figuring out what this movie is about is the very beginning and the very end. Mm-hmm. That colors everything, and it shows the clear message of the movie. Almost all books as well. Like the first line, last line are so important, especially the last line. And how does this movie begin and how does it end? It ends with it starts with a Bible quote, and it ends with "Maybe I'm going home." I can only read this movie as going towards heaven with that in mind. If you look at this from the more obvious perspective, which is obviously a layer of the movie about genetic determinism and willpower, that last line, "Maybe I'm going home," is just nonsense.
It doesn't fit with either of those.
It's just absolute nonsense. But if you say this movie is a moral journey, either satanic if you want to take it that way, or heavenly, like, actually towards heaven, to go to heaven, not to fight God, then like it makes perfect sense. And the Bible quote at the beginning, and I think most of all of the movie. So that's another thing, to make the ending actually work in a theme. But so yeah, I never saved anything for the way back. I gave everything for God. That's how I was able to get to heaven. And then also, along with that, because of the sacrifice of someone else, which in real life could be the sacrifice of like some other person, There's like the saints. I think it was Saint Basil and Saint Anthony Gregory. I don't remember the name of the other saint, but it was Basil and one other saint who they like competed to have the other person.
Yeah.
They competed to have the other person be more holy than them. Like they were always trying to improve each other. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of that, like that could happen, but also just on another level, we're talking about Christ sacrificing so that we can get to heaven. And then, there's also what stuck with me is with this idea of sacrifice is I'm kind of butchering it because I didn't bring my Bible with me, but that the greatest love is to give your life for a friend. Mm-hmm. That's what we see in this movie.
That is what we see in this movie.
When Eugene dies at the end of this, it's because he's giving everything about himself. He is getting completely disintegrated into nothing in order to save a friend, in order to get that friend to symbolically go to heaven, physically, literally to achieve his dream, but to symbolically get to heaven.
Yeah.
And go home. So, yeah. So I think this movie definitely will send you to heaven. Because I think, like at every step along the way, it's like you watch this movie and you don't think about it that much. It just makes you want to like work out and be able to like swim really well. And it's like,
it does.
And that's good. And then you go down another layer and it's like, this movie makes me want to like, fuck the man. I hate doctors. And like, nobody's going to tell me what to do. I'm going to achieve what I want to do. That's also good. And then you go like another layer and it's like, I need to like commit myself completely to what I want to accomplish. And just, yeah. And then like, that's good. And then you can go another level and it's like, it's important like that people sacrifice for others so that they can achieve their dreams, like the doctor and like Eugene. Like you need help from other people. And so I should be willing to sacrifice myself in some way, even if it's a small way like the doctor, who was putting his job at risk, obviously. Mm-hmm. Like I need to be able to sacrifice myself in order to help other people achieve their dreams as well. And like, that's also really good. Then you go another layer and it's like I need to give everything to get to heaven. That's great. And then you go one more and it's like, even then I wouldn't be able to get to heaven without the sacrifice of Christ.
I like the way you numbered those because I've seen it 3 times.
Right.
The first time was the first takeaway you said. Genetic determinism, bad. I should go to swimming.
yeah.
and then the next thing I thought remind me what it was. It was fuck the man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is stupid. Society doesn't make any sense. They're not going to hold me down.
Yep.
And then 3, I got exactly. I need to be better. I need to commit myself to something.
Yep.
I gotta watch this.
You just gotta watch the movie like 4 more times, dude.
I just gotta keep watching it, apparently.
Yeah, I've watched this movie like 11 times, so I should be further along.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So I think this movie is not only a movie that will send you to hell, it is a movie that will send you to hell, like, as far as I know, as many times as you watch it. Every time I've watched it, I've gotten something else out of this movie, and it's always been positive.
I think
with the exception of me just sort of intellectually exploring the satanic
it's a waste of time.
I just want to make sure it wasn't true, and I don't think it's true.
So you're pretty cavalier about the definitely send you to heaven.
Oh, 100%.
I think I'm like at 99%. I think I could see if 1 million people watch this movie, which gosh, I hope they do, that maybe one guy takes it the way wrong way.
Maybe.
I think it's possible to I'm gonna work out and have premarital sex and fucking kill myself. It's like, well, you got other problems, buddy, but I guess maybe the movie pushed you over the line.
I would say that would fall under the rule of scandal, how you judge scandal, which is you have to judge whether something is scandalous or immodest or something like that based on a reasonable person.
It's my concerns with the movie are like something weird is going on if that would send you to hell.
Right. Well, it's like with immodest clothing. You look at like a woman wearing immodest clothing and you say like, would a reasonable man look at that and be like turned on by it or something? Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, means that I'm against the majority of what women wear because that's not a very high, like it's not. Women don't get any.
We get it, Michael. You're attracted to women.
I'm just saying, dude. Well, the example I have is that for a while...
Lucky you, Mike.
No. Because I had a problem with this when I was younger, and I had a problem with being attracted to women. But so I listened to this...
Me too.
So I listened to these sermons by Father Wolf, and they're really good. I recommend them. Sensus Fidelium, I think is his.
No,
is it?
Wrong.
No, that's the other. Yeah, some of his are on there, but Veritas Caritas. Veritas Caritas. You can find it.
It's a different podcast. Only listen to this podcast.
It's really good.
Don't listen to it. Just keep listening to these over and over. Donate.
He recommends to whenever you're in like you see something that would tempt you like towards something like lust, to say a prayer that's like precious blood wash over me, protect me from the wickedness and snares of the devil, and then Jesus, Mary, Joseph, Saint Maria Goretti, guardian angel, help me. And just do that right away. Boom. Like before the thought even gets to your head. And so I started doing that. And by the way, it helps. It's really good. I recommend it. That's why I said the whole thing. So you can just do it. It's really easy. So I would do that whenever I saw a woman in immodest clothing. And delivering for Amazon, I'm just driving all over town all day. I never stopped praying. It was all day. It was like...
Well, we lived in a hot climate. Women don't wear a lot of clothes when it's hot out.
Sure, but... It was pretty bad.
No, I agree, yeah.
So my point is, yeah, with stuff like that, it's like, I think we can take the rule of scandal here, which is like, would a reasonable person look at this and be like, I'm going to commit suicide? No, I don't think so. Now, again, with the rule of scandal, though, there is also the element where like you are your brother's keeper. You can't be Cain, right? Like so you have to look at the possibility that like for immodest clothing, even if you're wearing something that is modest, maybe it's on the line, but like it's modest enough, it's fine. The average person wouldn't be turned on by it. But you know that you're around someone that like this is gonna do something for them. Maybe it's like a style that they're like into for some reason, or who knows, right? Like, but then in that case, you make the consideration for that. You know, you are your brother's keeper. You should change based on you should not lead someone into sin knowingly like that. So it's the same thing, I think, again, with this, is like you have to do that for yourself. Like, I think there's no way you can watch this movie and like a reasonable person say, I'm going to kill myself and have premarital sex or whatever. But if for some reason you're the person who you hear us describing this movie and you're like, I don't know, I might take that away from it, then don't watch the movie. You're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
I
this
don't know.
movie is I think not
maybe,
a problem with that.
Maybe some depressed people who might think it's noble in a way to kill yourself. That's really my concern.
And so that's what I would say is like you have to, since I assume no one's, well, maybe someone would, but I assume most people aren't going to listen to this show and then recommend a movie to a friend based on the show. You know what I mean? Maybe they would. But if you are doing that, don't recommend this to a friend who you think might kill themselves if they, you know what I mean? It's not the law still applies. The law of scandal is still applicable here.
It's not a super big problem with the movie. It's a small
I think
problem
Gattaca
with the
especially.
movie.
It's just really
watch Gattaca.
But with other movies, I think it could be a problem, more of a problem.
Next episode.
Next episode, we are watching The Exorcist. Since we're getting close to. It's October. We're getting closer to Halloween. It's I actually have never seen The Exorcist.
So the reason I wanted to do The Exorcist is because I've seen it back, speaking of the Chans, on the old 8chan days on the film board, there is the infographic of Catholic movies. This was on there. And I've seen on other like recommended Catholic movies. And indeed, there are characters who are priests. And it's like, there's a big Catholic theme to it.
Yeah, and I'm interested because I think it might lead to it. I haven't seen it, but I've seen a lot of horror movies. And it might lead into sort of a discussion about horror movies in general, I think. Because horror movies are surprisingly in some ways, they're some of the most immoral movies. And then in some of the ways, they're the most moral movies that still exist. Because there's clear good and evil. Priests are always like the solution to the evil. It's very black and white morality, which you never see in movies nowadays, except in horror movies.
And this is in a specifically Catholic context.
Yeah.
And Exorcist will tell you, like, yeah, it's a little played up for the screen, but that's kind of how. Well, and
I think we'll get into that because I've read like the accounts of Exorcists.
I know
and stuff like that.
You've read it.
Father Amor and the more.
Right,
whatever his name
and
is.
we're kind of interested in Father Ripperger, who's of course an exorcist.
Yeah, I've gone to one of his conferences, and
I've listened to lots of interviews with exorcists, and they're very interesting. So this seems like a good movie to do, The Exorcist.
Yep.
From the 70s, whenever the fuck.
79, I think.
79?
That's, for some reason, that sticks in my head. I imagined that infographic, and I can see it on the infographic with The Exorcist 1979. So either I have photographic memory or an illusion.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those two.
willitsendmetohell@gmail.com for your emails. I want to hear what you have to say about The Exorcist.
A lot of people have seen The Exorcist, probably have thoughts on it.
Yeah. About horror movies in general.
Yeah,
all kind of Halloween, spookiness. Give us your spooky emails this week, actually. willitsendmetohell@gmail.com. Again, you can always email us about anything.
Yeah, but, honestly, we're like, I love the email section when it's about the movies, but I also love it when some guy's just like, hey, I'm wondering about this Catholic topic. It's like, it's nice just for us to go off about something. I'm still waiting for the day for someone to send us an email that's like, hey guys, so, I think I might want to break up with my girlfriend. Could you give me some advice?
About to say, I cannot wait for the show to transition into like relationship advice, like a call-in show.
We'll have to start a spin-off show.
Yeah, that's in the works. I want to make that happen. willitsendmetohell@gmail.com. Let me know. Tell me about your girlfriend or lack of one. We'll help you out, buddy. We want to talk about spooky shit.
Will it get me a girlfriend? The new podcast.
That's good. And also paypal.me/willitsendmetohell and patreon.com/willitsendmetohell. We cannot do without you guys. We're getting, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you. And if we're still doing these not too often, if you want these shows more often, you know what to do. I would love to drop a day at work.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it would be amazing. And we're getting good support. So I will say, keep it up.
Yes, thank you. CONFOX,
more would be even better.
Matthew, yeah, you guys.
The more we get, the more we can do.
The next show is not going to include the Patreon donation. So if you want a nice, cheap executive producership, that's the way to do it. But don't go cheap. Actually, everyone's going to go cheap now that I said that. So you got to go expensive.
Who knows what the bidding war will be like for this. Again, more than likely, people's primary consideration when giving money is that, I like the show. I think it's worth this much money.
Well, hopefully they like the show.
Yeah, hopefully.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming, Michael.
Thanks. Happy to be here, Dalton.
Yeah, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Yep, God bless. Bye.